Let's remind ourselves of this basic fact. Polls measure preferences. Elections measure behavior. Preferences are fluid. Elections are behavior that confers authority. Polls can and sometimes do capture a direction, or, as they sometimes do, miss it by a wide margin. Elections, by contrast, declare hard choices, this or that. And yesterday, from Virginia to Kentucky, Pennsylvania to Ohio, the news was not good for one party. You know which party and you know who leads to it. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, something much more important. Here's Republican Daniel Cameron last night after losing his race to Kentucky's Democratic governor, Andy Beshear.
As I called the governor to congratulate him, I know from his perspective and from all of our perspectives that we all want the same thing for our future generations. We want a better Commonwealth, one in which it can ultimately be a shining city on a hill, a model and example for the rest of the nation to follow.
And this is Brandon Presley after losing to Mississippi's Republican Governor Tate Reeves.
He deserves a congratulation on his victory. This state depends on leadership for the next 4 years on tough issues and things in which we need to see our state move forward. And I give him my best wishes to he and Ely and to his family. I respect the decision of the voters of Mississippi because that's what makes our democracy what it actually is.
Cameron lost his race by about 67,000 votes. Presley lost his by about 38,000 votes. Both conceded. Former President Donald Trump in 2020 lost Michigan by 154,000 votes and has never conceded. He lost Pennsylvania in 2020 by 80,000 votes and has never conceded. Let that contrast and what it says about politics then and now sink in. Let us continue. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes joins us now to talk about the election yesterday. Particularly, Nancy, how the White House views it. Is this yet another moment where the Biden White House says, hello, we told you so?
That is what they are screaming from the mountaintops, Major, and from every social media outlet there is. This is a huge sigh of relief for the White House. They are arguing we were never concerned. We always knew the voters were on our side and that elections are really what matters at the end of the day. Polls are not predictors 1 year out from the 2024 election, they argue, but these elections show that voters are still on their side. Now, there's still no question that President Biden is underwater when it comes to his approval ratings. He's looking at a slew of polls, recent polls that show him down in key battleground states, but they can take heart from the fact that issues like abortion are still very potent and appear to be driving turnout among Democrats. That's a big a sign of relief for them.
Let's pick up on that thread about abortion because we have new CBS News polling that finds 54% of likely Republican primary voters oppose, keyword, oppose a federal law making abortion illegal. What does that tell you about where the Republicans are and what Democrats not only saw yesterday, but also saw in 2022?
Well, let's just take Ohio, for example, a red state, a state that former President Trump won in 2020, I think 55% of the vote. A measure yesterday on the ballot, issue 1, which enshrined abortion rights in the Constitution of that state, got 57% of the vote. So in a red state, it won handily. That shows you that polling on this issue and public sentiment on this issue has really shifted in a marked way since Roe v. Wade was overturned. We now have 7 ballot measures in 7 different states, all telling us the same thing, which is that even individuals who in their own personal life may be opposed to abortion also oppose those rights being stripped away from others. And it is now a majority position in this country in favor of keeping abortion rights where they were.
Whatever poker face the White House possesses this morning, there were Democrats who were nervous that I talked to on Monday.
Absolutely.
Not only about the slew of polls over the weekend that were very downbeat for the president's reelection campaign, but also not exactly sure how Tuesday would play out. And one of the things they were most worried about, Nancy, and I wonder if you picked this up at the White House, is if Tuesday had gone in a different way, had gone more Republican,
Yep.
it would have weakened the president, not necessarily for 2024, but in the immediate negotiations that have to go on with Republicans now about keeping the government open, Ukraine aid, Israel, border security, and the like. Does the White House feel a little bit more fortified now, a little stronger in that negotiating posture?
Such a good point. In fact, the vice president herself kind of made a rare appearance amongst the press corps today, did not take any questions, but she did stop and sort of do a little bit of a victory lap and claim that you don't have to abandon your beliefs, your religious beliefs or your deeply held political beliefs in order to be on our side on this particular issue of abortion. And more broadly, when you look at the results in a state like Virginia, which is so often, as you know, seen as a bellwether because they hold their elections in off years, it's often seen as a predictor of what might happen the following year in a presidential election. Democrats were worried about being able to hold on to the Senate. Instead, they not only held on to the Senate, but they flipped the state legislature and put that governor in a weaker position than many had anticipated he would be in today.
Nancy Cordes, always great to see you. Thank you so very much.